Ok, hola otra vez. Aquí estamos en 7.3. Oh, no, stop. Ok, muy bien. Bienvenidos otra vez. Estamos en lección 7.2 en Panorama. Almost to the end of the semester, guys. Keep going. Today we're going to talk about indefinite and negative words. And we'll talk about them in English and in Spanish. Starts on page 224 in Panorama. So indefinite words refer to people or things that are not specific, either specific in quantity or specific in identity. So someone came to my house last night, right? Or there's no specificity there. I need to eat something. I don't care what it is. I just need to eat something. So we're not specifying exactly what it is. It's a filler word. Negative words are ones like no, nothing, never, that deny the existence of things. Okay, so we're going to look at these in Spanish and, well, in English. The indefinite words, the words on the left side that indicate indefinite, non-specific things are algo. Algo means something or anything. It's indefinite. Alguien, that's a lot of vowels in a row. Remember, the U is really silent, just makes the G say that hard sound. Alguien means someone or somebody or anyone. Alguno, and notice that has a feminine and a plural form. So alguno, algunos, alguna, algunas, and then the abbreviated form algún means some or any. So I have some pencils. I need some friends. I need some books. I need some articles. Those are all different forms of alguno. And then o followed by o. So it's either or. It just happens to be the same word in Spanish. So o hablamos inglés o hablamos español. But we're not going to mix the two. Either we speak English or we speak Spanish. So o followed by another o. Siempre, siempre means always. If you think of the Marines, semper fi, that's the same Latin form, siempre. And también, también means also or to with the two O's. Those are indefinite words. The negative words, nada, nada means nothing or not anything. Nadie is the opposite of alguien. Nadie is nobody, no one, not anyone, nadie. Ninguno, ninguna, no or none or not any. And then the opposite of either or is neither nor. So in Spanish, that's ni, ni. So hoy ni hace calor, ni hace frío. It's neither hot nor it's cold. It's right in the middle. And then nunca means never, and nunca jamás, adding jamás to the end, means like never, ever, ever, like not really never. And you can also use jamás by itself, but it's very common to have it really emphasizing nunca, nunca, jamás. And then tampoco is the opposite of también. So tampoco means neither. So no quiero comer Taco Bell, tampoco quiero comer McDonald's. So neither. Okay, so those are indefinite words and negative words. And this goes back to your vocabulary. Let's look at how to use them. There are two ways to form a negative sentence in Spanish. You can put this negative word before the verb. That's some examples. Nadie se levanta temprano. Ellos nunca gritan. So nobody gets up early. They never yell, never shout. Or you can put no before the verb and then the negative word after the verb. No se levanta nadie temprano. Ellos no gritan nunca. So it's very common in Spanish to have double negatives, and we've talked about that before. When you answer a yes or no question with a no, you have to say no, comma, I don't, right? No, yo no quiero Taco Bell. So this is an example of that, and that is really emphasizing the negative part. So nadie se levanta temprano means nobody gets up early. No se levanta nadie temprano means nobody gets up early. You're really emphasizing that negative part. Ellos nunca gritan. They never yell. Ellos no gritan nunca. They never yell. It's just emphasizing the negative part even more by using two negatives. So either the indefinite word, the negative word goes before the verb, or no goes before the verb, and the negative word goes after the verb. Two ways. All right, because they refer to people, alguien and nadie are often used with a personal a. So think about that. They're really become pronouns. They're taking the place of a noun. And so if they're representing a person, then, or a group of people or a pet, right? Then we have to use a personal a with that. And then also with alguno, algunos, alguna, algunas, and ninguno or ninguna, when those also refer to people and are the direct object. So just think of what you would be saying if you didn't have that word there. And if it's a person, then you can use a personal a. So the examples, perdón, señor, ¿busca usted a alguien? Are you looking for someone? Now, because alguien is representing a person, that's going to have a personal a. No, gracias, señora. No busco a nadie. I'm not looking for anybody. Okay, so that because those refer to people, the personal a is required there. The second one, Tomás, ¿buscas a alguno de tus hermanos? Are you looking for one of your brothers or siblings? No, mamá, no busco a ninguno. So in those cases, alguno and ninguno don't always refer to people, but in this case they do because he's modifying his siblings or brothers with this word. And so in that case, it does refer to a person. It's taking the place and it needs to have a personal a. So alguien and nadie are always referring to people. So they're always going to have the personal a when they're the object. And the other ones, alguno and ninguno, when they do refer to people and are the objects. Sometimes they can be the sentence. That's why the subject of the sentence. That's why that caveat is there. But when they are objects, the personal a is required. Okay, so let's look at that. Before a masculine singular noun, alguno and ninguno get changed to algún and ningún. So just like we saw with primero, when it comes before a noun, it changes to primer. Alguno and ninguno do the same thing. If it's before a masculine singular noun, they get shortened. You drop the O. And because you drop the O, you have to add the accent to make it still pronounce the same. So just listen to that for a second. Ninguno and becomes ningún. Well, ningún ends in an N. And the rule is when a word ends in an N, the syllable, the emphasis gets put on the second to the last syllable. But because it's ninguno, we're going to pronounce ningún the same way. And therefore, an accent is required on the U to make it break that rule. Anyway, that's not too much information. So the examples. ¿Tienen ustedes algún amigo peruano? Do you have some Peruvian friend? No, no tenemos ningún amigo peruano. So the first one's indefinite. Do you have some Peruvian friend? Right? That's an indefinite person or quantity. Now we're saying, no, we don't have any. We have no Peruvian friend. That's now specific and it's negative. We have the two words in there. And then because it's before a masculine singular noun, then we get to take off that O and shorten it. Okay. In English, it's correct. It's incorrect to have more than one negative word in a sentence. And this is something I hadn't realized. I read this in Panorama. In English, we know we don't have double negatives, but once a sentence has a negative part, the rest of the sentence is positive, but the negativity is still applied. In Spanish, however, sentences frequently contain two or more negative words. And we just saw that, right? We had no tenemos ningún amigo peruano. We had three negative words in that same sentence. So when that happens, we have nunca le escribo a nadie. I never write to anyone. Because the first word is a negative, we're going to continue with the negative words in that. No me preocupo por nada nunca. I don't ever worry about anything. All those words are negative because we've started off the sentence in a negative way. So it says, as the preceding sentences show, once an English sentence contains one negative word, no other negative word may be used. Instead, indefinite or affirmative words are used in English. In Spanish, however, once a sentence is negative, no other affirmative, that is indefinite, word may be used. Instead, all indefinite ideas must further be expressed in the negative. So in Spanish, double, triple negatives are the norm. Once you start a sentence negatively, you'll, in a negative, you know what I mean, you'll continue to use the negative words in that sentence. Okay, so let's look at a couple things here in addition to that. We already have known that pero means but, okay? Yo quiero ir a Taco Bell, pero no tengo dinero. I want to go to Taco Bell, but I don't have any money. Si no is one word, but it means but or rather on the contrary. So when the first part of the sentence starts off negative, then we have sino is used to show that the contrary is true. So let's look at some examples that'll make more sense. Los estudiantes no se acuestan temprano, sino tarde. We already said no, right? We had said no in the first phrase. The students don't go to bed early, but rather late. And so we don't say, we wouldn't use pero in this example because we already made it negative. We're going to continue with the negative and use sino. Esas gafas son caras, pero bonitas. These glasses are expensive, but they're pretty. There's not a negative word there, so we would use pero there. María no habla francés, sino español. We've said a negative there, so we're going to use sino. She doesn't speak French, but rather Spanish. José es inteligente, pero no saca buenas notas. We don't have a negative form in the first part of the sentence, so we're going to use pero to go on with that. So there's a little bit of a subtle difference there between pero and sino when you're going to change and say something as the opposite or contrary. Okay, here's an example of 6 sentences. You're going to take these and you're going to write the opposite of the question. So listen, it'll give you some instructions, some sentences, number your papers 1 through 6, and then come back and we'll look at the answers.
3. Transformar. Change each sentence you hear to say the opposite is true. Repeat the correct answer after the speaker. Modelo.
Nadie se ducha ahora.
Alguien se ducha ahora.
Okay, so pause here for a second, go through.
Nunca me preocupo por nada.
Siempre me preocupo por algo.
Sorry, I ruined that one. So notice you had to change both words to positive, to negative, right?
2. Nunca viajo con nadie.
Siempre viajo con alguien.
3. No buscan a nadie.
Buscan a alguien.
4. Mi hijo jamás se lava las manos antes de comer.
Mi hijo siempre se lava las manos antes de comer.
5. Tampoco nos vamos.
También nos vamos.
6. Gloria no se despide de nadie.
Gloria se despide de alguien.
Okay, hope that made sense. Sorry, I kind of muffled that. So look at the opposites there. The opposite of nunca, and number 1, is siempre. The opposite of never is always. Por nada means I never worry about anything. The opposite of nothing is something. So nunca me preocupo por nada. The opposite, siempre me preocupo por algo. So you're only having to change the 2 words in there, right? You're not having, the verb doesn't change, the subject doesn't change. Just those 2 words. Nunca viajo con nadie. Siempre viajo con alguien. The opposite of nadie, which means nobody, is somebody. Number 3, no buscan a nadie. The opposite of no would be yes, but you don't need that in this one, right? So buscan a alguien. Number 4, mi hijo jamás means never, se lava las manos antes de comer. So there's just one negative thing there. Mi hijo siempre, the opposite of never is siempre. Number 5, tampoco nos vemos, neither do we see ourselves or each other. También, the opposite of tampoco is también. And number 6, we do have 2 negatives. Gloria no se despide de nadie. We don't need to say the opposite of no. We're just making an affirmation, a positive sentence. She does say goodbye to somebody. So just an exercise to understand how these indefinite and negative words work. Hope that made sense. As always, if not, go back and review. I'm just trying to give you different ways of looking at it. I'm not trying to confuse you, and I probably did confuse some of you. So hope that helps. If not, let me know, and we'll work through this one-on-one. I've enjoyed those of you who have come in on the Zoom chats on Tuesday. I've really enjoyed working with you one-on-one, and I'm happy to do that. So write me an email, drop in on Zoom for the office hours. Let me know how I can help you get these concepts. All right. Talk to you guys later. Good luck.